In this session, we're going to look at how we investigate a new database. First of all, we're actually going to go and open a database. So I'm just going to click on Open. So I'm just going to click on Open, traverse through to the file we want. In this case, it's Surf Store. And just going to double click that. Once it opens, you need to actually lift the security warning. So at the moment, when it opens, it has been disabled. We need to enable the content. So click on OK. Otherwise, the database will be locked. Another thing you will need to do if you can't see everything in the database, you may need to have the panel open, click on the arrow down, and then access all objects. And this then opens up all the objects that are in this database. So we actually have our tables here, and we have our queries, then we have our forms, and then we have our macros at the bottom. So at the moment, we can open up the table by double clicking this, double left click. And you can actually see the contents of this database. But at the moment, you can actually see you've got item name, pack size, wholesale price, retail price, last sale, in stock, and then there's a comment. But these are just labels that are placed on the columns or on the field names, and we need to actually go investigate what is the true nature of this table. So to do that, we actually need to go up to the top and go to Database Tools. So one thing I do when I go and investigate an existing database is, first of all, I have a look at the relationship diagram. In this case here, there's no relationship diagram established, and there's been no tables added. So I'm just going to click on Add here and click Close. This now gives you an idea of what is contained within this single table here. If there was multiple tables, there should be a relationship between them to make it a relational database. And you can see from here, we've got code, item, name, pack, WSP, which is wholesale price. And you notice from when we were viewing the table before, it actually had a label name, not the field name. What we're seeing in the table relationship is actually the field names. So from here, we can actually find out more information about the table itself. So what I'm going to do is close the relationship diagram. And yes, I'm going to save this. And I'm going to right mouse click table stock, and I'm going to go on the design view. The design view actually brings up all the fields that are in the table. As you noticed before, we had code, item, name, and here's wholesale price once more. Notice there is a key here. This represents what's called a primary key. That means that this field is unique and you cannot have duplicates. So to give you an idea about it being unique, if we go down into the properties panel below, you can see index is yes, and duplicates means no duplicates. Now what that means is you can't have two of these occurring. So if there was two Leons in the database, this stops you from having two Leons. Now it's also indexed with yes. What actually happens here, Access actually takes this field and loads it into memory. The more index fields you have, the more it will actually fill up your memory. So if you had something like the whole of the tax file numbers and you index those, every working Australian tax file number would be uploaded into your computer's memory, which means you'll need a lot of memory to store that information. From here, we have all the field names. We also have the data type and a description. So any developer would come in and actually have a look at these and actually understand what is going on. So we have text for the code. We also see here field size. There's only 4 characters to that text field. Item, if we click on this, we can see that this field size is 15. It has a caption. It says item type. So the field name is item, but in the table view, we'll see the word item type at the top for the field name. If we go down to name, this one's 32 characters long. If we look at pack, we can see it's a number, and it's got a particular byte size, and there are different ones. If I click on the arrow down, integer, long, integer, single, double, etc. We also format as general number. That can be changed as well. You can have some other ones to change its formatting. And as you go down, you've got decimal places. Here's the caption once more. And it has a default value, which means when it gets created, it'll put the number 1 into that field as the default value. So for something like pack size, it must be at least 1. You can't have 0. That means there's nothing there. Wholesale price has a format. And obviously this is the currency format, has 2 decimal places, and once again it has the word wholesale at the top of the field name and not WSP. Now, why I keep talking about the caption and the field name, because when we write SQL, we need to use these field names, WSP, not wholesale price. So when we're doing a query, these are the field names that we're using, WSP, not wholesale. We could write anything here because it's just a label that appears where this field is being used. Some other things you need to be aware of is date time. We have short date, you can have long date, and you can have short time, long time, etc. So they determine those. And if you want a default value in here, you can actually put equals now, bracket, bracket, and they'll automatically put today's date or today's time or when the record was created into the database. But we don't need to worry about that right at this moment, database. When we get down to comments, you notice it's text, it's 100 characters long, and that's about all we need in this database. So this gives you a very good idea of how the database is constructed. My recommendation is, if you're using a PC or something like that, you can actually use the snippet tool and click on new and grab a little screenshot of this. And if you save that to your desktop or have this open somewhere, it's an easy reference point to the actual SQL field names. So when you're trying to find out what items come in greater packs than 18, we know that we're using item, we're using pack size, and we can actually write the code a lot quicker. And when we're looking for everything that sells for a recommended retail price over $50 and under $100, we know that we're using RRP and not retail price. To exit out of this view, what we need to do is make sure you close the table, otherwise it will sit open. It's asking me if I would like to save the changes from what I did before. I'm just going to say no, because we want to use the raw table. So that concludes our investigation into a database that's pre-existing.